Hello, everyone. Here is another episode of Colivers Club. I'm here with Marie Tuason. Hello, Marie. How are you?
Hello, I'm very good. How are you?
Great. I'm having this episode, hosting this episode from Spain, Madrid. You are not in Madrid exactly, but you are very close by. Where are
Close enough.
you?
Close enough. I am in Valencia. It has been my base for the past 2 years, and it's last year I haven't really been spending too much here, so it was nice to come back here. And this time around, coming here is very special because, as you know, I just got my Spanish passport, so I'm
Hey.
officially a European citizen. So I decided to also just stay longer here and enjoying the sun. We have some sun right now. If you asked me this 4 hours before, I would be like, "Oh, it's raining," but now we have the sun, so I'm very very happy. Yeah,
No?
it's a great way. I like it. I like the city so much.
Because you mentioned that you have now a Spanish passport, but where are you from originally?
Originally, I have a Philippine passport, and then for the past 8 years, I've been living in Europe. So Germany was my gateway to Europe. Then I moved to Portugal. I spent some time in the US, and then now I am living in Spain technically, but also nomading here and there.
Yeah, because you've also been nomading for around 6 years, more or less.
Five to 6 years, yes.
5 to 6 years. And how has been the experience?
It's very, I would say this is the lifestyle for me, but it's also very much of a cycle. I saw myself that every 1 or 2 years, I love traveling and being in one place for quite a short time. I would say 1 to 2 months or three. And then there would be after that 1 to 2 year cycle, there would be a part of me which would be like, I actually need to settle down in one place for a while, rest, let's say, be a retired nomad or what I call it a semi nomad. And then after that, it's again back to me having itchy feet. And then now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, this year is definitely a lot of moving around. Maybe next year it's a little bit more relaxed and chill. So it's really it's very different, I would say. Yeah, that's also the reason why I kind of like chose Valencia to settle a little bit. So it's a great place.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah, having the beach nearby and yeah, lovely place, of course. I'm also interested asking you regarding the passport, right? For example, for me, having a Spanish passport, I always took it for granted, no? Like, oh, okay, of course. But coming from Philippines, I think there's might be some differences, no? Of easier places to go to. The process might be different. I'm guessing.
Very. Yeah, it's I like to see it in both ways. Sometimes when you're stressed in the immigration office or being anxious for like 4 or 5 months, whether or not your visa will get granted, you fail to see the silver lining of things. And what I like to see sometimes though is when I have my friends who are Europeans, they tell me how because of me they get reminded of the privilege that you guys have. So a few things, obviously, I was counting. We only are visa free for 84 countries with my Philippine passport. And now with Spain, it's 176. So it's more than double actually. So it's a great opportunity for me to travel and not just travel by leisure, but travel through opportunities. You know, if someone wants to invite me for a conference in another place, I can easily get there without having to spend, you know, so much money to avail for a visa that may or may not be rejected. And I've had a few of those. Also in the airports, sometimes I still get randomly selected. Randomly selected.
Randomly.
Obviously, if you compare me to other people of color, I would be on the more privileged side, obviously. But still, I do get those, and there would always be these questions of why is a single woman going to a European country, and there's still this stigma that I'm very happy that I'm one of those people that try to remove the stigma from it. And with this passport, it just makes it easier. I haven't tested it yet, obviously, so I haven't really gone out of Spain ever since I got the passport. I'm very excited to use it for the first time next month. Let's see from there.
You've mentioned public speaking, you've mentioned coming to Germany, and I wanted to let the audience know what is your background.
Yeah, so right now I am a marketer by trade. I have a marketing agency and we help wellness brands with anything social, organic social media, paid ads, which is paid social ads, which is our bread and butter, and content creation and influencer marketing. So anything social, that's us. But my background in general is I'm an engineer. I'm a medical engineer. So it's a nice way because I came to Germany as an engineer and then I got burnt out from that. And then I figured out I, I took my time to figure out what I want to do next and saw myself in marketing. And it was a long way before I found my alignment to the healthcare space, which kind of like is going full circle with what my background is, like bridging the gap between medical engineering and the technical aspects, making sure that science-based products get the recognition that they deserve through the marketing expertise that I have and we have as well. I have a second business where I make retreats for digital nomads. And that's on my background of being a yoga teacher as well as, someone who does workshops as well. This started as a passion project of bringing my friends, mostly from Europe, back home. And it was a nice entryway to this whole project because I realized there is a gap between people who are traveling, especially in the West, and also the cultures of the East. So it was a nice initiative to bridge the gap between nomads as well and locals in a way that it's sustainable and not just like you're visiting and then, okay, that's done. It's actually a way to educate people as well and making people have more authentic travel adventures.
Yeah, because community-oriented co-livings, they also have the same challenge, right? They want to open co-livings in these amazing places all over the world, but it can be done and it needs to be done in a way that respects the local culture and tries to not change the culture but adapt to it, no? So I think that's also very important, and like diversity in cultures is amazing. So why try to unify? No, let's have as many cultures as possible. And I think to me that's a key aspect of co-living, right? That you have in a single place cultures from everywhere in the world, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, I love that you touched on this and the difference in cultures as well, because I see it when I travel, we have this news that, we are part of the problem of gentrification. And as much as of course we're not. Like nomads is just 1% of the problem. That's what I believe, let's say. But we still are part. I see it in my island, in the Philippines. So this is what we're trying to do. We make sure that whenever we bring people to the Philippines, because it's designed by nomads who are actually from the country. So it's not just in the Philippines. Our pilot is obviously in the Philippines, but we're starting to create one now in Ecuador as well, and maybe in the future some other places. Because of this, we make sure that we cater to the needs of nomads. A lot of co-livings, they try to hire locals in their community, but then locals, they don't really understand what a nomad is or, what are the needs of nomads. So we have that. And at the same time, these nomads are also locals. So these people know exactly what the local community are looking for and what's their sentiments towards this group and what are the things that this local community wants. We're trying to give the voice to this local community by being a representation for them. And I think it's doing really well, and it's a small, we're doing it smaller bit, little bit by little bit, but it's it's being accepted by our community and our participants really well. So I'm happy for them.
Yeah, I'm glad. I think it's also from community-oriented co-livings. That's something that I think the co-living operators take into account, right? So yeah, because to them, I think to most of them, it's a passion project. So if you are
Yeah.
building just a house, and you can do it anywhere and do whatever.
Yeah.
But if you really want to be part of the community, you need to respect the community. And
Yeah.
bridging the gap is the challenging part, but I think it can totally be done. I have in mind a few examples like Chateau Coliving or Burgas Coliving.
Hmm.
They always take these things into consideration, and I think that's great. And to me, the difficult part when I find co-livings is finding co-livings that are community oriented, which are the ones that I like most. And to do that, I use MapMelon. This is the promotional part of the podcast. Thank you, MapMelon, for sponsoring the podcast. So make sure to check them out if you want to search for community-oriented co-livings. I want to go back to this idea of how co-livings can avoid the most common errors. Yeah, when settling down in a zone. Apart from making sure that, for example, there's locals that are related to the co-living and they can have a voice. What are the things you might recommend?
My biggest tip is obviously for me, it's easy because I speak the language and I am from that community. You know, I've been in that island for more than 10 years now. So I know exactly what they want and what they need. I think the biggest tip is to have a conversation with them. You know, don't set yourself up on a pedestal to separate yourself from the local community. I feel like I noticed that in um, a few co-livings, which for me it makes sense sometimes because um, they cater to different, let's say, audiences. You know, let's say a higher, you're more of a higher quality audience or a higher income stream, but at the same time, it's how I say it is you're making a community, right? And the community starts with the local community, not just the expat community. So engage yourself in a conversation with them. If you have a different language, then find someone that can help you out. Learn the language. I think this is one of the biggest pet peeves that there's a lot of expats in my country who don't even bother learning the language. And they always say that's because English is very, very easy to be spoken in the Philippines. And I agree, I do totally agree. But if you were to create a community in the country, I think learning a language, which is supposed to be something that's non-negotiable, even like basics, you know? So especially that, like I notice even for me when I travel, I learn a little bit about the small language, you know, in Basco, where I'm based in Bulgaria, I would learn a little bit, say thank you or how to order or the numbers, and they would, you know, the spark in their eyes. I can't even explain it. They would be like, oh wow, like they just immediately have much more respect for you, and you just made their day. It's amusing for them as well. Mhm. I don't know if you've had that, Cesar, as well, right? Like going to
Yeah,
different places.
people they think that you are considered, right? That you
Yeah,
took a little time just to be
to learn that.
respectful,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. So I think that's one of the biggest tips I would say, because at the end of the day, if you get in trouble, especially with government or with bureaucracy, these are the people that's going to help you. You know, these are the people who know the language. These are the people who know the ins and outs of the community that you're in right now. And these are the people um, that can help you get more connections within that area. So definitely get that. I'm a who is the how type of person. So the best way to go far is through building your connections, not just through, you know, expat connections, but also local connections.
You are the founder of Kaya Connections. Can you remind people what is this?
Yeah. So Kaya Connections is the retreats business that I told you about. It started as a passion project, but in general, we create 4-week co-workation retreats for remote workers and digital nomads who wants to have a more authentic travel adventure. So a lot of our tribes, we call them tribes, are settled in Siargao, Philippines. So we have one right now, currently happening in April. Our next one is in September, and it's very special because this is our first business oriented retreat. So we're only taking in entrepreneurs, business owners, freelancers who want to help scale their business. So we're mixing basically travel, local integration. So that's the fulfillment part. At the same time, still being able to scale your business. Our pain point there is that we saw that a lot of people who go to Siargao or just islands in general, they have a hard time um, focusing on their work because there's just so many things you can do in the island. You'd rather surf, you'd rather enjoy the sun, you'd rather be in the beach than honing in work. So we're trying to really create a very healthy schedule for these entrepreneurs that at the end of this retreat they end up with still being, improving their business. So we also have a business coach going into this. So that's in September. And then on November, we have our first one in Ecuador. And it's also 4 weeks, a little bit over 4 weeks, actually. It's 30 days. And it's nice because this one is going back to our values of being led by a nomad, local nomad. So this one is led by a girl who's been a nomad for 4 or 5 years also. And she's from Ecuador. And she's a medical doctor, a nomad doctor. So it's an interesting thing, right? Like being a nomad doctor itself, and she has these stories, and because she has this experience of living with the shamans for 5 years, 5 months. So she's going to bring us to that. We're not going to do any plant medicine during the retreat, at least. After the retreat, up to them what they want to do, but during the retreat it's more about showcasing the culture Ecuadorians, in different tribes. Ecuador is very rich in culture as well. So because we have her, she basically designed the whole trip, just like what I did for the Philippines, to make sure that the participants can really understand what the Ecuadorian culture is, the Ecuadorian food, the the nature as well, and making sure that we are also integrated with the locals there. So we're gonna go to 3 different locations in Ecuador, and also at the same time going into some different excursions. So in general, this is kind of like it's not just trips for us. It's like I said, co-workation retreats. So the whole program structure is weekdays. You're free to do whatever you want. You're gonna work if you want to work, surf if you want to surf. Those are your days. We give you as much freedom as you want, because I know nomads, you guys need your own freedom. Um, well, I need my own freedom as well. But weekends is kind of like, all right, we have everything. We're not gonna do everything as a tribe. We're gonna go in different excursions all at the same time, and that's really where the bond happens. It's everything is already included in the package. Nobody gets left behind as compared to other co-livings. It's more like, if you want to do this, do this. If you want to do that, and it's everybody comes in and goes at the same time, and that's kind of like how our programs work.
Oh, amazing. I hope people make sure to check it out because it sounds super interesting.
Yeah,
When
thank you.
creating this, no worries. When creating these pop-up co-livings and retreats, since you have a lot of experience in marketing, how do you go about it? Any recommendations from a marketing perspective?
First is to make sure to figure out your positioning. I think that's an important thing. A lot of people try to, me included, to be fair, my first retreat was actually a flop. I feel like a lot of retreat owners, their first retreats is always like, oh, yeah, they did much. And there's a lot of it. Um, but for me as a marketer, the biggest things would be figure out your positioning. What makes you better than like 99% of other retreat owners there? One of the things I noticed, I started this 3 or 4 years ago already. I started this when like there was a Facebook group of nomad retreats, and there were like 20,000 people there. Now it's like 160,000 people coming in, right? I don't know if you know this Facebook group, but there's a lot of these Facebook groups. Yeah. I noticed that when people want to go like to do a trip together, instead of joining a trip, they'd rather do it. And I'm all for that because I'm also myself. I did that myself, right? But what are you offering more and better than the rest of the retreats that are happening? I think that's the important thing that we need to do. Somebody said, "Oh, I want to do a retreat in Copanyan, or what's the one near Bali? Surf town as well in Bali. Oh God, I'm going there. I forgot the name, but there's a surf farm in
Hmm.
Bali. And he said, "Oh, I used to live there." I said, "I used to nomad." Sorry, I didn't even. He didn't even say I used to live there. I used to nomad there. I've been there for 4 months. I'm like, all right, okay. But what would make people want to join you rather than all the existing all the existing retreats there? And another thing is, what would make people want to join co-living that you made rather than doing it themselves? Because months of research and months of doing this, one of the things I realized is that our biggest competitor are not other retreat owners. Our biggest competitor are nomads who want to do things by themselves.
Cool
So
things, right? It's
yeah,
like they have cool ideas. They don't have any.
and it's not just that, it's going back to freedom. They would be
Yeah.
like, why would I do a whole retreat or a whole program when I can just do this by myself? Those things. So on a marketing perspective, think about your positioning. I can add this to your show notes. I have a free marketing template that I showcase to my clients as well, for people who want to figure out their brand messaging as well for that one. The second thing that you need to make sure is you add in enough planning. Um, Normally, I don't recommend people launching a retreat more less than 6 months before the retreat starts. So now you see, even for us, we're already planning. It's April. We're planning for 2026 already. We're launching those as well, just because it takes time for people to book. That's the event industry for you. So those are also the things that you can do. Of course, there are some exclusions. Let's say coach, and I've seen this for a lot of people. I had a talk of this with a friend yesterday. Actually, we're like, it's more sustainable to be a coach and host retreats once or twice a year than creating a retreats business. Because I
Oh,
know this
okay.
is with a lot of retreats businesses, we are facing the burnout. It's not just a lot me. I had my burnout already with this retreat business. I know a friend who's having burnout with her retreats business.
Hmm.
It's really
Marie, I
it's
think
very
that's a
hard.
great business opportunity to create a retreat for retreat
Retreat
owners
owners.
who are burnt out. That
Yeah.
it will go full circle,
It's funny. I know, I know. We have a few. I have a mastermind for retreats as well, and they're very helpful as well. But it's always ironic. We were always making fun and jokes about this, and like, isn't it ironic that we're getting the other people removed from burnout? I'm like, yeah. So
What
it's a
makes you burnt
yeah.
out as a retreat creator?
The biggest one is always lead generation. It's really,
Oh,
really
okay.
lead generation. It's Ask everyone in the retreats business. I would guarantee that is always their issue. Unless, of course, they have a really engaged community. Whereas for us, it's still our community is small. I love it. It's very intimate. Our business model is also not very scalable right now, in a sense of we mostly cater to the same location. So it's always client acquisition rather than retention. So now we have Ecuador. It's a little bit easier for us. We got a few people from our previous retreats to go to Ecuador. So that's also easier for us. But we're still figuring that out as well.
No, but a lot of things happening in your life, right? You run a marketing agency, you have this passion project about hosting retreats. Yoga instructor. I also know that you love surfing.
Yeah,
And how do you balance work with travel, events, and community life?
that's a good question. Actually, you say it's a passion project. It's really, I say it started as a passion project. Right now, it's a business. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
really,
So,
yeah,
okay, nice. That's
it is
amazing.
a business. It's a business. So it's I treat it as a business as well. If you keep on saying it's a passion project, it's a passion project. Like this one is a business. Um, it's a lot about figuring out what's your priority. You know, I think yeah, for the past 2 or 3 years, I've always saw myself with having two businesses. Um, and I actually have a new project coming up, which is more in line towards the health space. And I said, okay, this one is more, takes a lot more of my time, and I would love to work more on this, which may or may not mean that I have to lessen my priority in one of my other businesses and go through this. Right now, I'm on my figuring out which one is this and delegation as well. I'm very happy that my marketing agency is really the bread and butter. So I wouldn't say I'm 100% like off limits from it, but that's the goal, right? To make it like my cash cow, and then so that I can focus on other things as well. So, and I also have, I don't believe in like a work life balance on a day to day basis. I believe in a work life balance on a seasonal basis. What I mean by
Mhm.
this is there would be months, like 1 or 2 months, where I would just lock myself up in a remote town. That's how I ended up in Bansko. People always say like, how did you manage it in Bansko? I was like, well, Bansko doesn't have any of the things that I want to do, which is surfing or acro yoga. So, and I arrived there and I really made it the point that I'm not going to meet people. And I found an apartment that's a bit outside of the city. So it's all like, it's especially designed to be on a monk mode. So 2 months I was in monk mode. So it was perfect. Had zero social life, maybe like 2% social life. And then the rest would be focusing on gym, eating healthy, working, and that's it. Afterwards, it was a month of traveling, conferences. It's a lot of things that are very, very social. And then another month would be my retreat. I remember that. So it's like a cycle of those. So it's like in a whole year, I would do 3 sets of 2 months of monk modes, or maybe
Yeah.
2 sets of 3 months of monk modes, depending. And then I would do 3 retreats a year, whether or not it's my own retreat or I go to a different co-living or retreats or anything that's social. And then 3 months of just, okay, I don't really care what's going to happen with my businesses. I need to travel. I need to enjoy my life. I need to have fun. So that's kind of like how everything is on my work life balance, let's say.
And how long do you plan ahead these seasonal balances?
So I kind of like started that last year, and it was all by not by design, it was all by accident. I felt what my body wanted, and I was like, oh shit, this is what I needed. Oh, today, or oh, by like, I didn't know for the past 4 months, I was just on my social and co-living and retreat things. I needed to monk mode, you know? And now
Mhm.
that I learned about it, I kind of like planned out this whole year as well because of my whole business, my whole retreats. I would say right now the retreats are the one that's dictating where I have to go, and then hopefully next year I can be more relaxed as well on these things. So yeah, I kind of basically planned out my whole year this year.
And apart from this, you are also very interested in creating content. You're a content creator. You edit your videos and you post them, I think, mostly on Instagram, right?
Yeah, my whole marketing journey started as a content creator. I was an accidental influencer, I call that there. I started on TikTok and I got up to like 80,000 followers there. And I realized, oh, I can actually have I'm actually really good at making content. So the confidence was there. And that led me to become a content creator, a UGC content creator. More specifically, I was one of the first UGC creators in Europe, and that helped me a lot. And then grew into creative strategy, into paid ads, and then that's how I got into agency.
Mhm.
And that's been like life for 2 years now. And I realized that my creative outlet is still creating video content, things that I just love to do. I've been telling myself I want to do YouTube for a long, long, long time. And it's a different ballgame than TikTok, definitely different ballgame. So I'm just like, now I'm just learning how to film myself, how to express myself. I feel like I have the personality for it. It's just the perfectionism is always getting in
Oh,
the
it's always there. Yeah.
way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel you. It's so difficult to start exposing yourself, creating content that it doesn't match what you have in your mind. You don't have the
Mhm.
tools yet to really do it as you would like to. But you need to go through that in order to progress, right? And yeah, to make improvements. So yeah, I feel you.
Yeah,
Totally
it's
understand you.
okay. I'm like the fact that, like you said, like I have two businesses. I'm into health right now. Health is one of my priorities right now. Plus content. It's kind of like there's so many things. Like how do
Mhm.
we, how to maximize everything? So I'm
Yeah.
giving myself some love and some compassion at that end.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of things going on, right? So I wanted to ask you, what drives you?
What drives me? Um, One, I would say, is the momentum. The fact that I have been, I would say, like primed ever since I was young to be ambitious and be uh, like that. So basically, that is my personality, to be really ambitious already. So I would have some rest. I would be. I had a year that I was on a gap year. I called myself a gap year, but it became just 5 months, and then I was like, oh, I'm bored. I need to be productive again. And there would be times where, one of the reasons I got into yoga was because I wanted to be more relaxed and restful.
Mhm.
Um, so that's one. And I think another thing that drives me is my core values, which is, for me, the biggest one is self-improvement. I always want to improve one step at a time, better and better, and learning how to do this. And I anything that interested in. Right now, I'm hyper fixated on health. You know, 3 years ago, I was hyper fixated on content. So I guess got I was obsessed with content. Now I'm more obsessed with like longevity, biohacking, health. So I would say that's what's driving me now. I feel like more people should know about these things anyway. So it's yeah, it's the journey that's driving me, to be fair. I really love it. There's the pursuit of happiness, that quote or that movie. I always think it's the happiness of the pursuit, like
Mm.
just pursuing new things. That's something that I really love to do.
To me, it's now that I'm tomorrow is my birthday. Actually, I'm 30 now.
Feliz cumpleaños.
Thank you.
You're turning 30.
uh, I'm turning
You
30.
said.
Yes.
Okay,
So I
okay.
think now I will have some time to reflect on this last past decade. But yeah, I think the pursuit has always been there. Now I think it's a matter of seeing how it can be sustainable, because
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm also very driven and I like doing a lot of things. But sometimes I obsess with things and I forget to take care of myself, or I stop seeing myself, right? So it's always tricky to, like, oh, okay, maybe if I want to go longer, instead of going into in sixth year, I need to go into fifth year, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But that's sometimes we forget.
But I think now this is where my health coaching comes in. It's more of like, what is, you have to go deeper into what's your reason why you want to go into fifth year, or why you want to slow down. Like um, you just said that you're hyper fixating on something, right?
Mhm,
And you also said that maybe you have to go to fifth year, but you have to ask yourself why.
mhm.
And the more whys you reflect on, the more it'll stick to you.
Yeah, absolutely. This also reminds me of an exercise I've been doing lately, which is when I want to go deeper into something on why I do it, I ask myself 5 times why, right?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But being in the present moment, it's also something that really helped me. And I see that there's a divide in digital nomads when I go to co-livings. People who are very present, which is amazing, and people who want to become present. But I don't see, oh, of course, there's a little bit of everything. But people that travel and digital nomads and people who go to co-livings, they are in this path, right? I'm wondering why. I'm wondering if this sense of exploration and curiosity, it also brings you introspectiveness and makes you wonder the whys. No?
Mm. Can you give an example? I might not get it properly, so I want to know what example you can
So
give.
well, I've interviewed a few people in the past for the podcast who started traveling and started exploring and being a digital nomad after being burnt out. And they wanted to change things up, right? So they started the going to co-livings as a means of traveling also inward. And once they have reached that point, maybe, or are in this path, they keep traveling and they keep going to co-livings. And yeah, it's just so different when I meet people in my day to day, and when I'm traveling in co-livings. Yeah, there's also this I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I get the feeling that we understand each other somehow because we've dealt in the past with burnt out or not knowing what to do, or we are in the path of getting to know what we want to do, or maybe like you now, no, that you know what to do, you have the tools and you are just exploring, right? mm, yeah, it's just a little reflection.
Yeah, I feel um to me, seeing that there's always just we are, who we are now is a product of all our different experiences from before and the people that we met before. So the people that you've seen, there could be so many different ways, right? Like I know what you're saying. Like in some co-livings, when I come there, I would see that there's this other girl. Let's say, for example, I'm like, that was me 3 years ago, and we were just
Mm,
in different timelines. Either we're in
yeah.
different timelines, or we're just, maybe we're not even going to be in the same line. We're just she just has a different priority, different core values. And one thing that I'm at peace about is that, and what I think I love is that there's just so many different people in this world that I'm happy to have different opinions and things. And I'm happy to have met these people because it just means how, like, it strengthens my, like, that I know that this is something that I want, like my values are something that I want and not just, given to me. So yeah, I'm very like, it's a nice thing to have. And that's the thing with co-livings, right? Like um you will not have like 100% match, and I think that's fine. But you will also have, like, especially with big co-livings, like in my retreats, we're 8 to 12. I think that's a perfect time. There would be times where we would have like 20, and there would be small groups around
Yeah, of
because
course.
it's just too much, right? um so I I would say it's very natural to have for people to be in small groups depending on who really resonates with them.
So you think a big part of what makes a co-living a great co-living is the number of people, like from 8 to 12 is the sweet spot.
It really depends on what the co-living is. What the co-living is offering, right? It goes back to the positioning that I told you about.
Ah, right, yeah.
So yeah, so if the co-living, the positioning is about networking, then probably a bigger co-living would be better. If it's all about like deeper connections, maybe a smaller one would be, a more intimate one would be better. So I know Gonzalo Hall is doing a fitness co-living, so I was like, it it's not even about the number right now. It's just about who is there and what's their
The
dietary
spirit.
preferences. Are they gonna impose their vegan things to me? I don't like that. So it really depends on those values that the people come, and yeah, what is the positioning of the co-living.
I wanted to finish this episode by asking, what does co-living mean to you?
Co-living is an experience where, to me, where you come in not knowing that you will meet someone that can eventually change. You will meet a stranger that can change your life.
Wow, that's very powerful, and yet very true. It's just, yeah. It's been amazing talking to you, Marie. The time flies by, right?
I know. Thank you for allowing me to share my story as well.
No, no problem, absolutely. Oh, where can people find you online?
So they can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Marie Tuason on LinkedIn. If they want to learn more about my marketing agencies, it's called Adrenaline Marketers. And if they want to know more about the retreats that we're hosting, just search for Kaya. That's Kaya Connections on Instagram.
Make sure to check Marie's profiles and follow her. And it's been a tremendous pleasure talking to you. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Bye.